Alright everybody, welcome back to First Attack. Again, Ultra David apologized to everyone. There will be no level 3 focus today after this episode of First Attack. So I'm going to do a little bit of extra Ask jchensor for everybody on the stream. Just so, you guys have your content for the day. I do want to answer a question. Like I said, there are some questions I'll try to answer directly from the stream chat. I'll answer this question from Ganijin here. And he asked me, when there are no guides for a character like 2012 Yun, what's a good way to break down their options on offense and defense? And honestly, I mean, in this day and age, I hate saying this as an answer because this is kind of what's killed a lot of the creativity and a lot of the strength from individual players. But YouTube streams, they're a great way to start picking up on what people like to do. If you do not have such things, or if you actually want to spend the time and figure stuff out for yourself, honestly, it's just a matter of going to training mode. And if you start understanding the concept of attack vectors and see, the whole thing about talking about attack vectors that kind of makes it a little important as well is by understanding attack vectors, you kind of start evaluating how a move is good. You know, early on when I talked about selecting characters and figuring out how to, decide what to do with attacks and learning your characters, I said, find good buttons, find good moves. And it's just like, that doesn't make any sense to me, right? Well, I gave those criteria evaluations on, range, speed, priority, all sorts of things like that in a previous episode. And really, when you think about all those factors, what they really do is contribute to a proper attack vector. I mentioned in SF Cross Tekken, Chun-Li stands strong, great poke, same thing as in Street Fighter 4. And that's because it provides a really decent attack vector. Her foot speed plus this really fast poke that you cannot whiff punish easily creates this solid attack vector from the front. If you're Guile and you are messing around with them and you throw Sonic Boom and you notice that you recover so fast, you realize that Sonic Boom is a great attack vector. So in situations with Yun, for example, how do you determine what's a good attack vector? You start playing with a lot of his moves and you find out that his dive kick is really good. And, in general, dive kicks are all very, very good in fighting games. Evidenced by what I've always said. First dive kick ever in a fighting game, Dhalsim's drills in Super Turbo. There's a reason why Dhalsim is largely considered by many to be the #1 character in Super Turbo. And it's those drills, man. Those drills, those dive kicks. Ugh. But yeah, so dive kicks are very good. So you're just going to mess with Yun's dive kicks and see what you can build around it. And then once you realize, okay, I'm Yun, I've got this attack vector covered with dive kicks. But obviously there's holes in my offense. How do I cover those areas as well? So you start looking at how to cover those areas. Sometimes you'll need to do this on the fly during a tournament. This is what David talked about with adaptation. Sometimes you will lose to a tournament. And the important thing that you do is when you go home, you go to training mode and say, I lost to this. How do I beat it? Go to training mode and figure out how to beat it. And this is how you start figuring out your character, if you have nothing ahead of time to let you know. So, let's see. So Yuri Paddle asks, why do so many people hate me as a Makoto player? People say I'm random, but I just have perfect reads at Super Arcade. Please tell me how to get people to respect me as a young player. So, the more people complain about you being random, the more people get salty when they lose to you, means that you're doing the right thing. Alright? I don't care what anybody says. As soon as someone says, man, you are so fucking random, like, God, and they just get mad at you, it means you're succeeding. It means you're doing exactly what you're doing, and it means that you are reading them well. And you know how you get their respect? Keep kicking their ass and just keep doing it. Keep doing it, because as long as you can keep doing it, eventually they are just going to have to accept the fact that you are good. And that's just what it comes down to. You will not gain respect in any better way than to just keep beating people. If you think to yourself that you will gain respect by letting people win, or you'll gain respect by doing any sort of that stuff, it is not true. You have, for example, Hanzo Gonzo. A lot of people used to complain about that guy. But you know what? He went up to that first SRK sponsored tournament and he won that tournament. He does very well when he plays matches. So a lot of people, used to call him the ultimate stream monster or whatever like that. Dude, he was just down here and, I played him all Friday night along with a few other Marvel players and he kicked my ass, And, that's just the way that you're going to gain respect. You're just going to beat people and they're going to learn to respect you. Because if you were truly random, they could beat you. And that's why I get mad at everybody who says that Marvel is random and that it's a scrubby game and that anybody could win. Because if that was true, then anybody would win. But anybody doesn't win in that game. So it's not even remotely as random as you thought. And when you watched ECT and you watched so many smart plays, I think it was Marlin Pie. He punished Filipino champs power up from Dormammu from a screen away by doing the team super and turned the entire that match around and killed him with one team super. I mean, that was so smart. And if you think that was random and that's why Marlin Pie won that match, then you're crazy, right? And then Filipino champ, of course, came back and beat him with his own smart plays. It's always going to be about smart plays. Always going to be about smart plays. So, all right. So, and yeah, it's true. Marvel isn't random because I keep losing. Dude, if that game were as random as everybody said, I would be able to win. And it's not happening. So, all right. Okay. Let's see here. Do I think SF Cross Tekken can be fixed? Any game can be fixed. Any game can be fixed. It just requires a patch. Can SF Cross Tekken be good in the form that it is? It's hard for me to say because I'm very biased against that game right now. If you really want to have that question answered, you need to go talk to people like Ryan Hunter. You need to talk to people like Jibbo. They just played some matches last night, for example, on Jibbo's stream, which was Automatic on Twitch TV. And they're trying very hard to play this game very seriously. Tatsu, another player, Andy OCR, another player, taking the game very seriously. And those are the players that are going to be the one who can save this game, not me. Because I am an open detractor of the game. I do not like the game at all. It's not for me. I mean, there are aspects of it of which I do enjoy. I do understand it's a different game. If you play the game with the timer in mind, it's a very, very interesting and fascinating game. Even when I play it, I can feel the fascination with the timer. The timer actually becomes more important than super meter and life meter, and it's actually really kind of neat that way. It's very different. It's just not for me. It's just not for me. So, let's see. All right, let me do some Ask jchensor questions because I got quite a bit of them this last. Well, I didn't do one last week. The week before that, we had time off, so I've missed a few questions. So let's do these questions here one at a time, and then I'll get back to the stream chat. One question that I really wanted to answer was from JF. This was immediately after my first Vectors episode where I talked about how when Cammy's close up, she has an advantage over Ryu, but at that one distance where Cammy can't react to fireballs properly, Ryu has advantage over Cammy because his attack vectors are better. So what he says, he understands how at different ranges it favors Ryu or Cammy. But I wanted to know, how can you explicitly say at the close range when you said it's in Ryu's favor? Well, I'm saying at that one, not the super close range, but that one range that it's in Ryu's favor because people can't react to the Hadouken and Cammy's normals with. But couldn't Cammy also have the advantage here with her spiral arrow and cannon drill? It's also an attack vector. It's close enough to hit. It has an attack vector parallel to the ground. So isn't it her equivalent of a Hadouken? Is it because it's easy to react to? Is it really can't be spammed? It's unsafe on block? It puts her in a bad position? You know, what's the deal there? And you covered it exactly right, is that it is not a safe move. At that range, when Ryu can throw the Hadouken and Cammy can't react to it and she blocks to it, it actually resets Cammy back into a situation in which Ryu kind of has the advantage. It'll push Cammy a little further away than he wants to be so she can react to the fireball with EX drills again. But that's why you'll see Ryu's when people block fireballs, sometimes they'll walk forward right after that. You push Cammy back a little bit, Ryu walks forward, now you're in that situation. If the Cammy is desperate to walk in, kind of like the Guile Zangief situation that I talked about earlier, if Cammy blocks and she just keeps walking in and puts herself back into that range, then I'll just throw another fireball. I'll let her put her back into that range for me. So that is exactly right. That is the reason why Cammy loses at that distance. All of her normals whiff. Her dive kick does not work very well because she has to jump really high to get the dive kick. And at that range, the fireball covers a lot of situations that Cammy wants to get into. And yes, it is because it's very punishable if you block the spiral arrow. And the spin knuckle is the slowest dumb move in the game that everyone can hit. That if you block the spin knuckle, you've lost. That's your mind frame. If you see the spin knuckle, you should be hitting that thing. So then he asks, what about when they move closer together and now it favors Cammy instead of Ryu? Why is that? You know, I mean, obviously, what he says, I'll just read what he wrote. I completely understand when it's just focused on Cammy, but based on what you said earlier, the closer Ryu is, the harder it is to react to moves like the Hadouken. But why isn't this in Ryu's favor or equal footing when they're right next to each other? You know, is it because Cammy has more possible attack vectors than Ryu? Maybe her normals are faster. You know, he's just trying to get a solid grasp of why particular ranges favor one fighter over the other. So once they're right close up against each other, the reason why Cammy has an advantage is, frankly, she has better combos. She is rewarded more in that situation. If Ryu lands a low short and then does low jab, low strong Hadouken, or does low short, low jab, low forward hurricane kick, he kind of knocks her down and does a pretty decent amount of damage, right? Now, if Cammy gets close up to you and starts going on frame traps and hits you with a close strong or close fierce or a low short, she gets to combo into drill. She gets to combo into drill, and guess what? She's now got another mix-up on you, a free mix-up on you. And Cammy's Vortex, while not as potent as a lot of the other Vortexes, the four main Vortexes, which I give to Seth, Akuma, Ibuki, and Viper, not as effective as those four Vortexes, but still probably more effective than the entire rest of the cast's Vortex. So, the reason why Cammy wins at that distance is her payoff is much higher than Ryu's payoff up close. Not only that, but she has EX Tiger Knee Cannon Strike, or low to the ground EX Tiger Knee Cannon Strike. And I have always said, despite all of my, complaints about Cammy, EX Tiger Knee Cannon Strike is one of the most broken moves in the game. That move is so amazingly good. It gives Cam, it blows up so many things, and it gives her so much frame advantage when you block after it. It's such a super cheap move. It's a really cheap move, and because she has that, so if she doesn't have meter, Cammy has slight advantage. If she has meter, if she has a bar, Cammy, bigger advantage. If she has 3 bars or 4 bars, Cammy, huge advantage at that situation. That's why. It's the payoff is bigger for Cammy, and her options, yes, are more. Both of them can do a random uppercut up close FADC into Ultra, so that doesn't favor one or the other. And the biggest problem is if Cammy blocks Ryu's uppercut at that distance, you probably have a better punish against Ryu than Ryu has against Cammy. Also, Cammy can bait things better with a backdash because her backdash is much faster at close range, so you can bait uppercuts and punish well in that situation. So, yep, that's the answer to that question. If you have any follow-ups, JF, feel free to send them on over. HPD .exe asks me what my general opinion is on Touch of Death. This is actually a really cool question. What he says is he's gone online, played a few Skullgirls matches, and he just gets hit by Touch of Death combos. And his character just dies. He just got opened up once or twice. And he feels very frustrating on this because he's a very footsie heavy player. And he hates having to wait and guess on this timing and variation of mix-ups. He's aware that Skullgirls patch, the patch that's coming out, is probably going to fix a lot of this. But he just wants to know what should the mindset of a player who is lacking in the execution department be when dealing with players of this caliber. So, Touch of Death. Touch of Death is a way of life in a lot of these games. King of Fighters is a great example of this. Shen, Touch of Death character. Anytime you get to the last character and they have 4 bars and their entire HD meter. In fact, strategy in King of Fighters largely rotates around the concept of Touch of Death. You will see players when they're trying to make a one character comeback, they will just refuse to use any HD meter, because if they have 2 of their HD meters and maybe 1 or 2 super meters going into the last round, it doesn't matter if they have that much life or a full bar. Because they have all that utility with them, with that little life compared to the full bar of your opponent, you're almost on equal footing. Because if you touch them once, you will kill them. So it's a huge strategy in King of Fighters meter management. So Touch of Death, obviously, very important factor in King of Fighters. Touch of Death, very important in Skullgirls. Big long combos that can take out an entire character. Touch of Death, obviously super important in Marvel because it's so easy to kill people. In fact, my whole team with Hulk right now is predicated on the fact that if I touch you with any move at the beginning of the round, you are dead, unless you are like Thor or Tron or something. And even in some cases, I have combos from the start of the round. If I hit you with a jump S at the beginning of the round, I will kill Thor. So, how do you handle this? How do you react to Touch of Death? How can you accept this in games? Like, isn't it stupid? And I've always said that the best fighting games out there are the ones with the highest damage. Super Turbo, one of the longest lasting fighting games. Marvel vs. Capcom 2, one of the longest lasting fighting games. Tekken Tag Tournament, always one of the favorites of all Tekken fans. When it went to Tekken 4 and the damage was lower, people hated the game. When you go to all these lower damage games, people don't enjoy them as much. High damage games, you get that danger feeling, and it's kind of exhilarating in a way. So if you don't like Touch of Death games, you might actually be playing the wrong game, unfortunately. I don't want to say that. Obviously you're a fan of Skullgirls and you don't want to go to something else necessarily. But if you cannot accept Touch of Death in games like Skullgirls or Marvel 3, it's going to be very hard for you to play these games. What you have to do is embrace the Touch of Death. And if you do not have the execution to pull them off, then you're either really just going to have to sit down and practice your heart out to get good enough to do the Touch of Deaths, or you're really just going to have to move on to a different game. And, it kills me to say that, especially as a player right now who's trying his damnedest to learn Marvel and having so much trouble learning that game. Trust me, I understand the frustration. I am trying so hard to be good at this game, and I have thus far remained irrelevant in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. And I'm trying my heart out right now to play that game. And honestly, if you have the drive, and if you have the heart, and if you have the will to keep at these games, more power to you, and you will eventually get there. I haven't quit Marvel yet, even though I've wanted to quit it so many times. I haven't quit it because I feel like I can get there. It's my own fault that I'm not getting there because I'm not practicing enough. That's just what it comes down to. But if you have the heart and the passion for the game, you will get there eventually. You just have to learn to embrace that Touch of Death aspect of these games. You just really have to understand that that's part of the game. That's that is a factor in the game that you're going to learn to accept. And I promise you, once you accept it and start to embrace it, you will enjoy the game a lot more. All right, so I do need to stop commentating and just practice. That would actually be pretty cool. Let's see. Ooh, that's a long question to answer. I'm sorry. Let's see here. It's a long one. Oh, okay. Back to Murphy Depp here. He asked me a few weeks ago to explain some terminology. I really like these questions, and please, because, you know, I watched the MLG stream, and I was listening to Bala and Juicebox Abel, and, you know, because it was an MLG event, for the first time, I understand what it feels like, you know, when people like me and Ultra David are throwing out all these crazy terminology all the time, because I was watching it, and even though I understood it, I just kept thinking to myself, man, all these people who don't know fighting games are just going to have so much trouble understanding these terms. So please, 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 if we keep using terms on any stream, you know, if you're watching MLG, if you're watching Wednesday Night Fights, The Run Back, if you're watching Big Two, if you're watching Thursday Night Throwdowns, if you're watching Fraud Free Fridays, which actually is one of my favorite streams right now, which is the FGTV house playing Marvel. I love watching that stream so much. If you hear terminology that you don't understand, please, please send in a question to First Attack, and I will be more than happy to answer these things. Just ask jchensor. You know, make sure you can tweet it to me at UltraChenTV with the hashtag AskJChensor, or send us an email at ultrachentv@gmail.com with the subject Ask Jchensor. So, Murphy Depp here asks me, what does empty jump, neutral jump, and safe jump mean? Do they all mean the same thing? The answer is no, they do not mean the same thing. All right, so let me show you what these terms mean. Neutral jump, that's all neutral jump is. It's a straight up jump. And as opposed to a forward jump, a back jump, and then neutral jump. Call it neutral jump because you come back exactly where you land, so your position has remained neutral. That's the best way to think of neutral jump. Empty jump means I jumped and did nothing. So for example, let's use Guile because he has a better empty jump here. So I'm going to jump at you, and most people are going to jump kick, like so. Empty jump means I jump and do nothing. The reason why this is important is because you can empty jump into low attack. A lot of people are expecting that high hit, and then what you can do is catch them low instead for a combo because they didn't low block in time. This is very important in games like King of Fighters, especially with the low hops. Low hop, hyper hops into empty jumps into low attacks, huge strategy. Triangle jumps essentially are another version of triangle dashes in Marvel, for example. If you're Magneto and you jump air dash diagonally down, whiff an attack, land, and low short. It's another form of empty jumping, just very different. Let's see if I can actually do a safe jump with this. How am I going to do this? Safe jump basically, okay, let me just put it this way. Safe jump, I'll explain it in the most technical terms. Safe jump is when you knock an opponent down and you jump at him when he gets up. He can uppercut you when you get up, right? So let's think about Cammy, for example. She has a 5-frame uppercut. Think about that for a second. It takes 5 frames before her uppercut will actually hit you. What this actually means is that you can time a jump at an opponent so that if I do a jump kick to them when they're getting up... Actually, you know what? This is so stupid. Let me just show you guys. Why should I explain it like this? This is ridiculous. All right, let's show you guys. I'm trying to think of what a good safe jump setup is. I know there's some good safe jump setups with Cammy, of course, because I just know her. All right. I did this the wrong way. I should have watched my own episode on how to do training mode. So in this situation, because I want Cammy to do the safe jump, I need to make her the dummy, and I need to make Cammy, Chun-Li the point character here. So let's do Chun-Li versus Cammy. So let me see if I remember this right. This is one of Alion's techs. If you do not know who Alion is, then you guys really need to find out. Probably the best player in Europe, largely considered so by most European players, and easily probably the #1 best Cammy player in the world. So yeah, Alion, super technical guy, really, really cool. What is the setup that he uses? Was it low strong? Low strong is a little too fast. Let's try standing strong. Alright, let me try that one more time. Let me see if that was right. No, that's too slow. What was the button that he used? Low forward? Oops. I apologize, guys. I don't remember what button Alion used to do this tech here. Let's try it again. Alright, let's just do it the easy way. Forget this complicated one. Alright, so I got my cross-up short there with Cammy. So let's see if I did this right. Whoops. So what I'm trying to do here now is I'm going to try to let Chun-Li do a reversal EX spinning bird kick. Alright, I didn't time it wrong. Safe jump after galactic tornado. Anyways, so basically the whole concept is that a lot of these anti-air moves have startup. You can actually time it so that if you do a jump attack against someone waking up, you can hit him with the normal move like that, like I was trying to do with Cammy's cross-up short, if they don't do anything, so they have to block it. If they do a wake-up, because the wake-up has about 5 frames startup, you will actually land and block that wake-up option in time. So it's an option select. It gives you the ability to apply pressure without worrying about their wake-up option. I don't actually implement safe jumps in my game very much. It's a big hole in my game. Ultra David, for example, uses them all the time. And they're super effective. They're very, very effective because it basically gives you a free jump in on your opponent. Because if they get up, oh, I know the easiest safe jump. Oh, God, why didn't I think of this one before? Because this is the safe jump that they do to me all the time. And I hate this one. Alright. Don't worry, guys. I'll turn the screen on in just a second. Oops. I'm going to do it backwards again. Alright. Sorry about the delay, guys. I knew about that earlier. Again, people were saying that's the Twitch TV. Cody! Oh, man. I can't stand this frame trap. It's free. I think it's that one. I think it's forward throw. Let me see if I can do this one. Huh, interesting. Why is this not... Is it back throw? I don't think it's back throw, is it? Oh, maybe it is back throw. It is back throw. Okay, there it was. I just did jumping jab right there, right? Then I hit Cammy when she got up. Now I'm going to wake up and do a reversal uppercut. If I wasn't a scrub. So now I'm going to do a wake up uppercut. Wow, really, Cammy? Really? Oh, I'm sorry. You're top 3. You're top 3. There it is, right there. Reversal. You saw the reversal message come out. And he blocked it in time. That is a safe jump right there. Because now, if I don't actually do anything, I have to deal with that jumping jab pressure. Now he gets all that offense on me. So that is a safe jump. A jump in which that you can land an attack if they don't do anything. But if they uppercut, you are still safe. So that is a safe jump. All right. one, and he asked for two more terms. Reset. Reset basically is just a lot of times it's ending your own combo early just to put them into a mix-up and hit them again so that you could do more damage. Most games, when you do long combos, damage scaling kicks in, so you do less and less damage. So you tend to put resets in the middle of combos to reset the damage scaling, thus why they're called resets, and do a lot more damage. So in a lot of situations where you have free guaranteed this much damage, if you go for a crazy reset, you can get that much more damage if the reset is successful. Of course, the risk is that you are, letting go of a guaranteed damage for potential damage. But if your mix-up is good enough, if your resets are good enough, then they're still going to be effective. The last one that he asks is OTJ, which he wrote, which is actually OTG. OTG is a term that I actually made up a long time ago in my Marvel combo facts. Stands for off the ground, and it's just basically a move that hits off the ground. It's just all OTG really comes to. A lot of people actually have adapted that. Some people have used that term. I've heard it in Tekken before, which was crazy to me. But in Marvel especially, there are certain moves that can hit people off the ground. And these are moves that have been tagged with OTG property. So yeah, that's basically what OTG stands for. Off the James, nice. Okay, I've seen Ruku post this question a couple of times. So he said, in the Geef versus Guile matchup, you didn't mention some of Geef's normal that can help him advance. Do you think those are not useful, or are you just looking at the basic matchup? I was looking at the basic matchup. Remember, I already said I'm discounting EX Green Hand, which changes the matchup drastically. In Hyper Fighting and Super Turbo, Guile versus Zangief, very much a 7-3 matchup, maybe 6-4, 7-3 matchup. In Street Fighter 4, it's probably a 6-4 matchup, maybe even a 5-5, 5.5, 4.5 matchup because of things like EX Green Hand, and because Zangief does have better normal moves than he did in those older games that can actually help him in that matchup. Yes, I was boiling down the matchup in the most basic in the very fundamental core. And that's, I always talk about the economics of Street Fighter, because in economics, everyone talks about the perfect situation, and in real life, none of it applies. So, yeah, I was boiling that matchup down very much in an economical standpoint, that this is how it works in the perfect world. But in real life, it plays very differently. So, let's see. I did invent comedy, in fact. That's how old I am. Let's see. So, Tinho asks, he recently picked up playing fighting games more seriously, and he was wondering if he should work on his timing of one-frame links first, or learn how to plink first, and then attempt the one-frame links. I recommend everybody, if you are playing Cross Tekken or Street Fighter 4, learn plinking first. Learn how to plink, and then go for the one-frame links, because there's no reason to try one-frame links without plinking in those games without plinking. There's just no reason not to learn plinking to do one-frame links. If you are playing a game like King of Fighters or Marvel, there are one-frame links in Marvel, very, very, very rare, but lots of one-frame links in King of Fighters. If you are going to learn those one-frame links, then you are just going to have to learn the timing. But if you are playing Cross Tekken or Street Fighter 4, again, yes, definitely learn plinking first. I have some really old Ask jchensor questions that I have not gotten to recently. So let me see if I can get to some of those. Like I said, I'm doing a little bit longer episode today, because normally we do 2 hours of Ultra Chen TV, but Ultra David unable to do an episode today. So I'm just doing a few extra Ask jchensor questions to fill in the time a little bit. And let's see here. Let me get to some of the older questions that I've skipped from a long time ago. Here's a question from way back in February from Kenny. He asked, what is the best way to get out to more big events such as majors and large tournaments if you are not in college? Or I'm assuming if you're not graduated either. I mean, in those situations, you just really have to keep track of events in your local area and really plan which events you go to. If you are unable to travel to something like Evo, if you are unable to travel to something, these big tournaments like CEO, let's just say you live in, Ohio area or something, keep track of all the big tournaments, find seasons beatings in Ohio. If you live more in, for example, Portland area, or if you live in Idaho, keep track of Northwest majors because you can make it out to these events. Just keep track of the events that you can make it out to, the ones that you can make it out to that are the cheapest, and then just beg your parents as much as possible on if they'll drive you to these events, because that's the way it's gonna go. Or if you have older friends, older siblings that your parents trust to take you out to these events, to chaperone you out to these events. It basically comes down, honestly, just to bargain with your parents, because that's just what's going to come down. Trust me, I mean, when I wanted to travel even to the Pico Rivera tournament, World's Finest tournament I went to a long time ago, my parents were not very pleased about that. The only reason I could go is because I had an older brother who wanted to check it out too, and he drove me out there. So, yeah. And, a lot of the times, maybe your parents will be super understanding. Big timers again. This guy's on fire too. Look at CJ Truth. He makes it out to all these tournaments. And you know what? His parents love it. His dad loves it. And by the way, shout outs to his dad. Hope to see him again this coming weekend at CEO. His dad is really amazing guy. Super important chef at Universal Studios and stuff like that. It's crazy, dude. That guy's the man. But he loves that his kid loves this stuff, because it's a hobby that his kid is passionate about. And CJ Truth, he's not letting it interfere with his school and stuff like that. So that's the other thing too. If you want to get out to a major and you're not old enough to get out there yourself, you better make sure you're doing really freaking good in school. You better make sure that you're doing your thing as a kid to give your parents that much more trust in your ability to make it to an event such as this and check it out, and trust that it will not interfere with your school and such, because I've gotten messages from people who have said to me, how do I get sponsored? I want to be a sponsored player so I don't have to go to college and stuff like that. Go to college, do school. School is your priority, no matter what. The only reason why I can do what I'm doing right now is because I went to school, I went to college, I got a good job, and I can pay for my way to these kind of things, okay? So there's my ABC Family Channel message, stay in school. All right. So, answered that question. Let me answer another one. Actually, let me just finish off by answering more questions on the chat here, if there are any questions here. Insane Kyo asks, Chen, did Ultra David break up with you? Hopefully next week, it will be CEO after next week, so there probably won't be a First Attack or Ultra Chen or level 3 focus, but hopefully the week after that, hopefully we can get Ultra David back. I mean, it just depends on how well I play my cards, so we'll see how it goes. God, I almost made it through without laughing. Holy crap. Okay. All right. So let's see here. What are some other questions? What am I standing up for? Does the FGC love traps? Oh, trust me, they really love traps. I especially love traps because it is so fun to lock people down. Okay, it's my Marvel team. My Marvel team right now is Hulk, Doom, Felicia. Someone asked me right now, how important are focus attacks? I never use it with El Fuerte. That's from Razor Ramon. Are you the same guy that asked me that question as well? I got a email. I don't know if it's the same email, but basically he asked, is it compulsory to learn focus attacks to be able to play Street Fighter 4? Being the noob that I am, I very seldom use focus attacks when playing with others. The only time I use it is when I FADC a Shoryuken into something else, or when I FADC out of Bison Slide. Even so, I rarely do it because my reactions are too slow, or rather much save up for a super. Since the focus attack is a huge mechanic in Street Fighter 4, should I be utilizing it more to become a better player, or should I wait until I'm a better player before I use it? Which comes first, the chicken or the egg? He asks. So my answer to this question is that it really depends on your character and how good your focus attack is with it. Someone joked one time that, you know, I said in a post on the Cammy forums that I was learning to use Cammy's focus attack more with Cammy, and someone said I didn't think that was possible because when he watched my matches, I focus attack like freaking crazy when I'm Cammy, and that is because Cammy has an amazing focus attack. If you are playing Cammy and you are not using her focus attack, you are using it wrong. In fact, I think it is the focus attack which is the sole reason why I think Cammy beats Ryu. I think that is a 5.5 match in favor of Cammy, almost solely because of the focus attack, because of how well it works against Ryu in AE 2012. Now, if you're Balrog or you're Viper, you should not be using focus attack at all, because your focus attack is garbage, and it is not a very good utility. That is not to say they are completely useless. Viper, really bad focus attack, actually still useful against Cammy, because Cammy's dive kicks get blown up by focus attacks. So it becomes a deterrent. You throw a focus attack, backdash away. Every once in a while, once Cammy gets that distance where she pushes herself out too far, because Cammys love to try to get back in. They love to try to maintain that offense in that distance by jumping up and dive kicking again. That was my favorite thing about Chirithy's Cammy, is when he got pushed out of distance, you know what he did? He ran away. And he said, you know what? Good for you. I'm back out. I'll try my hand again. He did not cave into desperation and use that desperation dive kick to back in, which is so baitable with focus attack, so punishable by focus attack. So, you know, in general, a focus attack is just like any other move. That's how you have to see it. It is a utility. You have to gather whether it's useful or not. You have to understand where it's going to be helpful. And for every character, it's going to be different. And that's just what you're going to have to learn on whether or not you use a focus attack. If you're Fuerte, focus attack actually kind of is useful, because Kai was the master at this. Happy Tang, before he stopped playing this game, he baited uppercuts like you could not imagine, right? So what he would do is he would actually run up to people where they're about to uppercut, go to a distance where the uppercut would whiff, and start focus attacking. And when the person woke up with an uppercut, he would tag them with it on their way down, get run, stop, fierce loops. So it can be very useful for Fuerte. Can also be a way for him to get in. And always remember, if you want to get your opponent to block a focus attack, make sure you try to get up to the level 2. Then you're at plus frames when they block it and you dash in for most characters. If they block a level 1 and you dash forward, keep in mind that you're going to be -1 or -2 when you dash in, and you are at a disadvantage. But again, learning to use focus attack is, I can't really say, you know, chicken or egg. It's another move. Learn to use it like you would learn how to use any other move. Just understand where are the best places to use it, and just toy with it during a match until it starts becoming more second nature on when to use it. Alright, so let me see if there are any other questions here. If not, then I was going to... Do you have any general advice on learning how to make smart reads on people. Asks T First. I don't know if I pronounced that wrong, but dude, that's all I was saying for the last 2 hours about vectors and stuff like that. That's how you make smart reads on people. Understanding what people's options are and understanding what people's tendencies are. I'm just kidding. I'm not trying to troll you. I mean, it's a completely legitimate question. But yeah, that's pretty much how to make good reads, is once you understand what a character's attacks are, and how to understand that, that's how you're going to do it. I Am Heartless asks, do I have any kids? I do have kids. Their name are Cammy, Hulk, Felicia, and Doom, and Yuri, Benimaru, and Kenso right now. This may change within a couple of months. I'm not necessarily married to my kids. I don't really like my kids very much. So, yeah, I might, abandon those kids, throw them to the adoption agency, try to pick up some other kids. Been looking at Leona, been looking at maybe even tier whoring and going to, Wolverine. I mean, come on. Why wouldn't you want your kid to, win all the trophies and awards and stuff like that? That's what a proud parent does. So that's why I might throw away some of my kids and just go with Wolverine or Wesker or something like that. Spencer, I don't know. We'll find out. But yeah. That's the way it works. Yes, Cammy is my waifu. Yes, that is true. Will I be able to cover Persona 4? I don't know. So many fighting games to learn now. It's so hard. I mean, I want to know Skullgirls and Virtua Fighter more. I want to play those games, and I haven't had a chance to play those games because I'm too busy losing in Marvel right now. I want to play more KOF, but I'm too busy losing in Marvel right now, so I need to find time to play these games anyway. So, how do you backwards wave dash on a pad? Better question is, how do you backwards wave dash on a joystick? You can't. It's very hard. You can learn it. Very hard. Much easier on a hitbox, and much easier if you plink dash to do backwards wave dashing. Well, backwards plink dashing, essentially. If you don't know what a plink dashing is, I'll explain it next week. Ask me the question for an Ask jchensor segment. Okay, and can I make sure Marn doesn't kill Guilty Gear again? He will never kill that game again. I hope when it comes back that it's huge. It's a tough game to learn. I'm going to tell you, everyone right now, it's not a game for everyone. You're going to hear a lot of people talk about Guilty Gear like it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Guilty Gear is an amazing game, but Guilty Gear is very, very crafted. It's very, very crafted, and what I mean by that is there's not a lot of room for improvisation in that game. You basically are playing the character correctly, or you are playing the character incorrectly. That is my number one complaint about Guilty Gear, but I love the game, and I hope people play the game, because that game is amazing, and it's so much fun. So much fun. Alright. I play Johnny in Guilty Gear. Character that got nerfed every single game, and I heard about some of his new buffs in Guilty Gear Plus R, whatever it's called, and I am excited. I am so jazzed. I am so ready for this Johnny right now. I think they said that he has a new coin throw which throws it straight up, and then he recovers. Basically, it's a Sean basketball, and I get mix-ups on their wake-up lockdown from coin. Dude, I am so ready for that. I'm so ready. I'm so ready for that. Anyways, okay. So that's it today. It's 10 o'clock, so thank you once again for tuning in to Ultra Gen TV. Again, next week there will be no Ultra Gen TV. I'm going to talk with Ultra David a little bit more, find out if everything is cool, if we're going to come back for a Tuesday show tomorrow. Obviously, follow us on Twitter at Ultra Gen TV, and you'll find out whether or not we're doing an episode tomorrow. But next week, for sure, we will not be doing an episode. Monday, we will be spending some time in Orlando, kicking it with a bunch of other guys, having fun, maybe going to Disney World or Universal, not sure yet. And then on Tuesday, we will be traveling back, so we will probably be a little too tired. So next week, there most likely will be no Ultra Chen TV. The following week after that, though, there's 2 more weeks before EVO. We'll try to do a few more episodes. I was even thinking about doing kind of like an Evo special just to talk about Evo and just why you should go if you can and why it is the most amazing thing ever. So, you know, you should definitely try to go to that. And, yep, but don't forget that this Wednesday is Wednesday Night Fights. And Thursday is the run back. This week I will probably be going to Wednesday Night Fights instead of the run back. Thursday is also Thursday Night Throwdowns from NorCal. Their version of Wednesday Night Fights, essentially. And then on Fridays, there's Fraud Free Fridays at FGTV House. Tomorrow there will also be Wake Up SRK at 6:30 Pacific Standard Time. I don't know if Cross Counter is on tomorrow. I don't know the situation. I think Sub-Zero is doing, Dr. Sub-Zero is doing an episode tomorrow, I'm pretty sure. But yep, lots of streams to watch. So thanks everyone again for tuning in. Again, if you have questions for me, send them to AskJChensor, or actually just send them to ultrachentv@gmail.com with the subject of AskJChensor, or tweet to ultrachentv with the hashtag of AskJChensor in there. You can also do everything the same way, but ask Ultra David instead for more technical questions, for more advanced, high-level questions. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning in to First Attack, and I will see you guys maybe tomorrow, but if not then tune in on Wednesday. See you guys later.